We'll call the meeting to order then, and I'd like to start by reading a motion, and it is that pursuit of Ministerial Order number M192 in the Cowichan Valley Regional District, CBRD, Restoration of Service Plan, the attendance of the public at this November 24th, 2020 Kerry Park Recreation Center meeting cannot be accommodated in accordance with the applicable requirements or recommendations under the Public Health Act because of limitations on mass gatherings and the inability to provide for adequate physical distancing with the full commission, staff, and members of the public present in the boardroom, and that the commission is ensuring openness, transparency, accessibility, and accountability by meetings by 1, providing notice of the meeting, 2, making the meeting agenda as well as all other relevant documents available on the CBRD website, 3, providing email notification of publication of agendas to subscribers, 4, archiving meeting video for future viewing by members of the public, and 5, continuing to investigate options to facilitate public participation. And I would move that the Kerry Park Recreation Commission, Center Commission meeting of November 24th be held electronically and in the absence of the public in accordance with Ministerial Order M192 and the CBRD Restoration of Services Plan. We could have a seconder. Lori? Okay. Those in favor? I see hands. Contrary? Carried. Okay, so if we could go to the agenda. You have the agenda in front of you, sent to you. Could I have a motion to approve the agenda unless there's additions to?
Mr. Chair, just a question. Are we not live streaming on YouTube this meeting, or anyone know?
It's my understanding that we are recording it, and then it will be uploaded to the CBRD website tomorrow if anybody wants to view it afterwards.
Okay, so that's different than most of our other.
Different than the board meetings, yes.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
All right, any items to be added to the agenda? Lori? No? Okay, moved by Lori, seconded by Blaze, that we approve the agenda. Those in favor? Contrary? Carried. Okay, the adoption of the minutes of the September 29th. A motion to accept the minutes of September 29th. Blaze? All right. Sierra? Those in favor? Contrary? Carried. Business arising will, I assume, be covered during the meeting, Kim? Yes?
Yes, they will be.
Okay, and there's no public input period today, no delegations. Correspondence. We received a letter from the pickleball folks, and it was a follow-up to the letter that we sent them, and I guess just as for information. Everybody received a copy of that, I presume, as part of the package. Right, okay. And I don't think it's any follow-up needed on that at this particular time. Information, anything, Kim, at this point?
No, nothing for information.
Okay, so moving on to the report from the manager with respect to functions 411 and 417. Okay, Kim?
So in your agenda package, we did prepare a staff report along with all the backup for function 411, which is the Kerry Park Recreation Center, and function 417, which is in regards to the aquatic contribution for the North Cowichan pool. We've also included a supplemental item for the outdoor pickleball complex, which we can talk about in detail based on our commission meeting from September. As well as we've put forward a supplemental item for Kerry Park for the fire panel and energy efficiency plan in order to be prepared for different grant monies that come up. So I'll talk about that in detail as well. Just a little bit of background. The board asked that the commissions and, not commissions, staff build 2021 budgets based with a 0% tax requisition increase. So we were able to achieve that through this process. And in order to do that, we had to make some adjustments to our food and beverage services. And I know that's something that the Commission has been asking for quite some time in terms of continuing to work towards reducing the requisition that the food and beverage department relies on. When we looked at the business case for food and beverage and some of the areas that were costing some additional revenues, we really realized that doing outside catering, all of the costs associated with that weren't being calculated into our pricing, as well as events. We tend to bring in additional staff that maybe aren't required. We could utilize existing staff for those events. So we've prepared a different business plan for food and beverage moving forward in 2021 if we get through COVID in 2021. Obviously, our food and beverage services are not running right now. Sorry, all staff have been currently laid off. And so we did adjust in our food and beverage services by about $25,000 a year to accommodate that for 2021. And I think the positive to that is we won't see any impact within our internal facilities and the services that we offer. It'll just mean a little bit of differences for staff. And obviously we won't be catering to outside services any longer. Function 417, obviously we didn't have to make any adjustments. Our contribution is still $100,000 and it will remain at that level for 2021. The supplemental items that we presented, you got 2 supplemental sheets, one outlining the outdoor pickleball complex. And the supplemental sheet that you received actually highlights if we were to have to budget out of our own requisition to pay back short-term debt. We did apply for a grant. Sorry, just give me 1 second to find that. So we applied for the Community Economic Resilience Stream for $550,000, which is 100% funding for the pickleball complex. And what we've proposed is adding a gravel parking lot, an outdoor washroom facility, as well as a 6-court pickleball complex. And we're hoping to hear on that grant in the spring. But with the budget presentation, one of the important things that I heard from the Commission at the last meeting was to try and get something built for 2021 for the pickleball community in the South Cowichan area, because there's been such a demand and request for that complex. So what's proposed in the budget is a $400,000 complex. We've scaled down things to try and achieve something that we could afford for 2021. And the proposal is requesting that we do short-term borrowing of $220,000 over a 5-term period, which would mean an increase in requisition of about $42,000 to cover the short-term debt on an annual basis. We've asked the club to fundraise $150,000, and then we propose to ask the board to move and reallocate the $30,000 we have allocated for outdoor fitness equipment to help fund this request. So any questions on that supplemental before I move to the other one?
Okay, I'm wondering if we should look at 411.
Yeah.
See if there are any questions, because that is the main meat and potatoes, I think, of the budget. So everybody's a copy of that. And maybe what we could do is go through that, or at least find out if there are any questions or concerns with respect to that. Please.
Yeah, thank you. So a couple things on that overall budget. One, just you mentioned food and beverage, but it's broken up in so many different places with the revenue and then the expense. I think there are 5 different categories.
Yes. So the main change you'll see under the revenue piece is under the food services coffee shop.
Okay.
And that's where most of our catering services were out of.
Okay. Well, maybe I was going to ask just first. So roughly, want to add up all the different revenue, all the different expenses, just before we change. Is it roughly breaking even now, or is it we're still
We still would be using tax requisition about $25,000.
Okay. And follow up, just so carry on. What's going to change this year then?
So currently we are not offering any food and beverage services, and that will stay in effect until we are past COVID and we can have events again, most likely. We do review it on a monthly basis just to see where we're at, but we certainly don't have any spectators in the building. So it doesn't make sense to offer food and beverage services. But once we do reinstate those services, we will be solely offering just food and beverage services within our facilities, not doing any outside catering, such as the board meetings. And then we will be adjusting. So currently, for example, events that happen on evenings and weekends, we actually bring in additional staff to supervise those. So the expectation is the food and beverage coordinator will be adjusting her scheduling to be here for those events. So we would be saving on staff wages for the increased cost of having a different supervisor come in for evenings and weekends.
Okay, so
those are our big savings.
Yeah, so if I could, so if we formerly we were losing about 25,000, what do you estimate? Where will we come in this year then, this coming year?
This coming year for food and beverage, are you talking just food and beverage?
Yeah, just food and beverage.
Okay, so revenues, we've brought in 31% of the cost, and actually I didn't break down the numbers, and then we've spent 39%. So I would guess that's about $10,000, but I'm not positive. I can figure that out though, please.
Okay, thank you. Another question about what other people go with it.
Are there other questions? Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, my question was for the pickleball. Are we trying to separate them?
Well, there's 4 motions, I think, that are going to end up coming up. So I thought if we dealt with 411, then we'd work our way down 417 and then go to the supplementary ones that we have and deal with those.
Okay, I can wait then.
Okay. Lori, any questions?
Okay, I'll ask.
Please.
So on the allocation budgets, so they've changed a bit this year. Looks like a couple are now 0, but overall it's looks like about 50,000 higher than it was last year. Is that right?
Last year, no. It's only about $4,000 difference from the 2020 budget for 2021, and though they did change the way allocations are done. So in 2019 actual column, you'll see that there was allocations out for IT, human resources. Those two have been lumped in with the general government allocations, and that percentage for each facility has gone up. So the percentage, and maybe Talitha can comment on this, I believe it's 12% for recreation centers versus 4% like it was in 2019. And we pay based on what our annual budget is from 2 years previous, I believe. So whatever our actuals were for 2019 is what we're paying the percentage on for 2021. Is that right?
Kim got it exactly right. I have nothing to add.
Perfect.
Okay.
So follow up.
Go ahead, please.
Thank you. So did you say 12% now? It was only 4% though, last 2019?
In 2019, yes. And the reason it went up was because they put human resources and info technology into general government. So it's all into one now instead of 3 separate allocations.
Right, I see. It's changed, but overall it also seems to have, maybe I did the math wrong, but when I add up the 5 allocation, well, there's actually 6 allocation budgets.
Are you looking at 2019, Blaze, and then looking at 2021 and comparing the two?
Yes.
Yeah.
It looks like one comes out to about, 395, and the other one comes out to 450 roughly. So about 50,000, 55,000 difference. Is that correct? Am I?
Yeah, and one of the bigger increases for 2020, you'll see allocations for facilities went up about just under $40,000. And a
Okay.
big piece of that is because the board approved hiring a capital projects coordinator for the community services division. So we are paying our share for that position.
Okay.
So overall,
So
the combined general government, et cetera, part is how much total?
So the overall general government for 2021 is 317,784. And to calculate what it was in 2019, you would take the general government allocation, the IT allocation, and the human resources allocation and add those ones together. So I can just quickly do that. IT. So in 2019, it was 303,442, and this year we're at 317,784. So it's about $14,000 difference.
Okay, and the GM comm services under that same heading is for what?
So again, that's John's position and his department. He has one admin support staff that we pay a portion of.
So general government covers what?
General government is all the financial services that we receive, IT services, human resources services. I think that's, and just general government, sorry, legislative services.
And communications is also in there, as well as the office of the CAO.
And the facilities one is?
That would be Jim Wakeham's department, so his position and a portion of our capital projects coordinator.
Okay, so that'd be that other hiring that they did. Okay.
Correct.
So that amounts to what, at least 12% of our budget?
Good question. So our operating budget. It's about 11%.
11%. Wow. Any other questions?
can we just follow that vein a little? So I must have, so the board approved that increase. I should know that, but I just want to be reminded.
So are you talking, Blaise, the increase for the position or increase in percentage for allocation?
The percentage, yeah.
I believe so, but Talitha could probably answer that one.
So back in 2019, as Kim said, we did bring a report to the board where we discussed the differences in the allocations and putting HR and IT into the general government allocation. The same total amount is being recovered for Function 100 from allocation as has been recovered in previous years. So HR used to be based on the number of full-time equivalent positions. IT was based on the number of computers. It was a very complicated calculation, and general government was based on just a percentage total. So the board considered various options and approved going to, it actually is an 8% allocation with a 4% surcharge based on the number of staff that the facility has. So that totals 12%, and overall ends up equaling the same total amount towards general government's budget as has been achieved in previous years. So, and it's based on expenses, as Kim said, from 2 years previous. So it will be based on actual expenses from 2019. So it does change every year a little bit, just based on the actual expenses that each function has.
Okay, and this applied to all the recreation centers, I assume? Like
It applies to every single function in the CVRD.
the whole, okay, good. Okay, so complicated. Can I just, one more, just come at, right? So if I come at it from another way, so we hired the extra staff, which explains why that went up, that particular allocations overall seem to have gone up, and yet we still came in at zero, except for the supplemental. What did we lose to come in at zero, even with an extra staff?
So Blaze, that position was included in the 2020 budget. So from 2020 to 2021, there wasn't a change. You'll see the 2020 budget was 72,406 and 2021 went down slightly.
Oh, okay.
So just back to the general government one for half a sec here. So were they also asked to come in at 0% as well? Or is that for all of those things, combine them all together? Is it a 0% or is that section of the budget gone up?
No, so it is 0%, Brian, but the allocation that we get is 12% of whatever our 2019 actuals are. So it doesn't matter what the general government budget is, we pay a percentage, and then I believe that goes into an operating reserve if there's any surplus. Is that correct, Felicia?
Any surplus for the year absolutely does go into an operating reserve, as it does for many other functions. And in this case, some of our operating reserve for Function 100 even goes to support things like the regional recreation studies that are going on and that sort of thing. So it's used for regionally significant projects.
Okay, any other questions?
Sorry I'm late, folks. The optometrist machines broke down.
We see.
Can you see that?
Okay.
Okay.
Anything else on 411?
Mr. Chair, could I
Yes.
ask a question?
There you are.
Sorry. To Kim, what was, when you were doing your budgeting this year, what was your kind of idea around looking at it of how much service you were going to support compared to a normal year that doesn't have COVID?
Yes. So my take with our budget is I did not want to make any drastic changes just because of COVID, because we have no idea how long it's going to last. We didn't know this year. And so we built our budget based on what a normal year would look like. And what we've done for 2020, for example, is we have budgeted watching very closely every month and adjusting where needed. So if our revenues are down, our expenses are down. So for example, when you see the 2020 actuals instead of the budget, you'll see a number of things are reduced quite a bit. Our program budgets are down, expenses 70 to 77%, admin is down to 85%, food and beverage is at 39%, and facilities are around 80%. Our revenues, same thing, we've seen quite a decrease. Our programs are around 60%, admissions are around 75%, food and beverage was around 31%, and rentals at 55%. So what that equates to is we're probably down around $250,000 in revenue, but we've also saved on the expense side about $450,000. So we will see a surplus at the end of 2020 based on that, which will ultimately go into operating reserves and help us in the future for other capital type projects. So for 2021, we've done the exact same thing. We've built it based on what a normal year would look like. So if COVID is over in March, we're carrying on with typical services that we always have. If we find COVID is going to affect us until halfway through the year, we will adjust monthly, just like we have been doing for this year.
Okay.
And sorry, Brian, just one other comment. And the other reason that I prefer to build our budget based like that is because you tend to see really big spikes and then drops if we all of a sudden change just because of COVID. And COVID is so unpredictable right now. We've had a bunch of changes again over the last, 4 days for recreation. And so we just have to keep going with the flow and going day to day and adjusting as we need.
All right, any further questions? I think a motion would be in order then that function 411 of the draft budget be approved, or we recommend to the board that it be approved. Okay, moved by Lori, seconded by Blaise. Those in favor? Contrary? Carried.
Well, will it get changed at all if the supplements are changed?
I think that would stand on its own, would it not?
The supplementals are not included in this core budget that we've presented. They would be added in after.
Okay, sorry.
So it's okay to approve recommendation 1 of the staff report and move through each recommendation.
Thank you.
Okay, function 417 is to do with the aquatic center, and it hasn't changed at all. So I presume that there we just need a motion to approve that section of the budget. Lori and Sierra. Okay, those in favor? Contrary? Carried. Okay, moving on to the outdoor pickleball, the supplement, we return to that one. Okay. So at the last meeting, we recommended, or we agreed that we would go 150,000 from the arena, and we would ask the group to raise the other 150,000. And I guess it's just a matter of what would we like to do? Do we really want to do that, or do we want to see a change? Sierra?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, so yeah, I was surprised by that it was in there already. I guess our motion was like that, but I think we're jumping the gun a little bit on it. I don't know that we need to budget that much money for it. And there's so many grants coming. And even I was thinking maybe if we funded maybe 200,000 instead of the 400, that way we could maybe qualify for an iced tea grant. They have lots coming. And they also like the economic development. Like, I think it has really great potential for so many of the grants, because even if COVID carries on, they'll still be usable. They're just such a great, and they're an economic tool, and there's a lot of money being put towards community resilience, some economic resilience. And I think it really qualifies really nicely. So maybe if we had some money to create a proper design plan and maybe have a couple of nice drawings to make our grants successful, if we don't get this one that recreation has already put in for, is kind of what I'm thinking.
Okay, so what I see that
forward to everyone else's thoughts on that.
Yeah, so what I see happening here is that if we leave this in, then we can move ahead if the grants are turned down. But I'm assuming we would continue to apply for the grants, the one we have in, and we'd apply for other grants that may come up, in which case we would not be using our funding. But this is here so that we can move forward with it if we don't qualify for anything. Yeah. Blaise?
Thank you. Yeah. So, well, a couple of things. I just was looks a bit more of a Cadillac type project than I imagined, but I don't know if we really need a parking lot since we have a Cadillac-friendly parking lot and the trail. Maybe Kim can speak to those, but also just the other question broadly. I was wondering the implications if we have a partnership where they raise some of the money. Does it limit our future? Is it still a fully public facility that, I don't really want to get into when they have to have a locked gate or get permission or pay a fee, or like it compared to the tennis club has some of those restrictions, which I think would be better to avoid. So maybe I'll send that to Kim.
I think if we look at the letter that they responded to what we sent to them, they mentioned that if it goes ahead on this basis, that they certainly want to sit down and talk to us about those conditions. Kim?
Yeah, I was just going to comment. I do know originally they certainly don't want a model like the tennis courts are. They want to see it open for public use and their use, and possibly have the ability to hold tournaments there on a few times a year type of thing. I think the amount that we asked them for was maybe a little bit higher than, they were expecting. And so with that value, now they're thinking, well, maybe we should have a little more say in it. So I think we do need to be cautious of asking them to fundraise a large portion. I agree this project is got great bones for it, for the grant. Hopefully we are successful and this will be a moot point, and it'll be completely funded. In regards to parking, the reason we did put in a gravel lot is because we do get complaints from neighbors quite often. When the sports fields are being utilized, our main facility is being utilized, the parking lots are full. And so we use that back field already for overflow parking. And if there's not some form of gravel parking lot there, our parking lot down here in front of Mill Bay Hall could be completely empty. People will still park all over the road and block driveways because they're, not wanting to walk the 200 meters to get over to the sports field. So I think to be good neighbors, we really need to ensure that we take that into consideration if we add pickleball courts.
Just follow up. Oh, sorry, Lori was ahead of me. So.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just, that was a good question from Director Salmon on the conditions. That would be another quagmire, I think. I think we need to be really clear there. But I am in favor of this going to, like, having the backup with a 5-year plan if there is no grant. Because I think this is something that we have seen is really in the community, not going to be slowing down. So it would be valuable for us. It'd be a great asset to the Kerry Park arena, the community.
Yeah, I agree totally. I'm totally in favor of going ahead right away, but I still just, what part of the field will this be in? Because if it's down in the corner near the community league, there's that parking available, right?
Yeah, and I think the proposal that we had, let me just see if I can share my screen. I'll attempt, this will be the first time. Can you see that?
Yeah.
So this is just a bit of a mock drawing. We originally, so this is what was presented to the grant. Obviously, this is more of a Cadillac proposal, and we wouldn't go to this extreme if we didn't get the grant. But we talked about the existing tennis courts obviously are up here. We proposed putting a 6-court pickleball court in the far right-hand corner. Reason being, if in 10, 15 years, the rec center decides to build some type of an expansion, like we've talked about in the past, this still leaves some space for the ability to do that. We put in the gravel lot just running along Wilkinson Road, and then a washroom building. Again, it wouldn't be big. It would maybe be two individual stalls that were unisex. And then we proposed possibly putting a trail around the field space that tied into the trail project. And then again, if down the road, the commission ever decided that maybe they did want to do some outdoor fitness stations, which we probably won't do, but if we did, this trail component would be a great addition just to have for people to exercise. And we would also tie in probably to the tennis courts so that there was ability to walk up to there from the new parking lot. So another option would be certainly to build the pickleball courts down in this bottom right-hand corner, which again, you're right, would have access to the parking lot. It wouldn't be a far walk to go into the washroom. So we could build something there to accommodate the pickleball people and still open up a portion of the field for overflow parking for the sports field. But again, it would be nice to have something a little more formal because the side of the road for Wilkinson tends to get overflowed for tennis courts. And I think, you know, pickleball, hopefully they would utilize this space down here if we built them in this bottom right-hand corner.
Okay, the map there, at least the plan that I passed on to you, Kim, shows it down in that area close to the arena and the corner in there. And,
exactly.
Yeah, and the crucial part that they were concerned about was that it be north-south because of the way the sun is when you're playing the game. So that would
right. Yeah, and again, this is just a mock-up. It doesn't have to be exactly like this. We can certainly adjust things, and we would want to meet with the pickleballers to ensure that they do work for them.
Right.
Please.
So, because I think that looks a little bigger. I think they said a third of an acre is all they would need for 6 courts.
Yes, this isn't to scale. We haven't paid any money to have any proper drawings done, any surveys of the property done to ensure that that field. So there's a lot of prep work that would need to happen prior to us even moving forward with a plan. This was just, again, a grant application came up. We had a week to throw something together. And obviously we want pickleball courts. And so we put together a proposal of items that we felt probably were important up there in the future. And if we're not successful, then we wouldn't move forward with this grand proposal.
Okay. So I'd be in favor then if we have that, if we get the grant, but if we don't, we'll go ahead with a much scaled down.
Correct.
No parking lot, no trail, just no washroom, just.
Correct. The grant proposal that we put forward was for $550,000. The item that we have for the supplemental, if we were to have to fund it, is at $400,000. And certainly we don't need to do the trail work. We could reduce that down. Obviously you'd want a trail connecting if we had a parking lot, but again, we could probably scale that down.
Are there a number of items that if we did the small scale, what was proposed in that lower corner, are there items in there that volunteers can do? And I'm thinking in terms of what we did on the ball field. We had the Rotary Club put in the picnic shelter. We had them put in the playground. We've had them do a number of things on site. So could they do work in kind if they cannot raise the money? Because I guess what the concern is, as you think this through, the ramifications of being into a partnership is one thing, but it's raising the $150,000, how long that's going to stall anything happening is a concern. So if we could shave it back to building the 6 courts and then be part of the on the be better off, job done.
Did you want me to comment on that, Brian, or
the others?
Yeah. So I do know that Parks does utilize volunteers for their programs out in the trails and certain ways. So I'm certain we can work with Parks to come up with some proper formula to have volunteers come. Again, if we wanted to fund the whole 6 courts and just budget $300,000, I feel confident that we could probably get the pickleball courts done. And then, like you say, maybe utilize Rotary and whatnot to connect some trails. Sorry, my phone keeps ringing. I'm not very good at muting. So if you didn't want to have to do fundraising with the group and we wanted to borrow $300,000 instead of the $220,000, I did get budget amounts for that as well, just so the commission had an idea of what that would be if you wanted to avoid maybe having some kind of exclusive use agreement with the club if they had to fundraise.
So what do you have any idea what that would cost us?
Yeah, so if we borrowed $300,000, the first year, because we probably wouldn't get the courts built till middle to the latter of the year, our debt repayment would be around $31,000. So that would mean a 1.01% increase based on 2020 population. And then for future years, starting in 2022, that would go up to 61,877 for debt repayment, which would mean a 2.02% increase of requisition.
When are the ball fields paid off?
2023.
So we would basically be looking at 1 year, and then we would have funds that we could transfer over there? Or
Correct. Yes. Currently, right now, we pay back for the sports fields just under $100,000 a year for debt repayment.
So it's basically 1 year that we would be looking at a higher increase.
Yeah, for 2021, we'd be looking at a 1% increase, and then 2022, that would be an additional 1% because it would almost double our payments. And then starting in 2023, yes, that would free up the debt repayment for the sports fields, and we could utilize that for the pickleball courts.
Okay. Any further questions or ideas? Yes, Sarah. I'm losing.
I'll let Mike go. Maybe you just don't see him. I've already had a question, but I've got a question. I'll let Mike go first.
Okay, Mike.
Thanks, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, all these numbers are being thrown around all over the place, and as you know, I get confused very easily here. So, Kim, just go backwards again. 550,000 was the Rolls Royce, and then I think you said 400,000 for just the pickleball courts in the bottom right-hand corner there. There's not much of a difference between the two there. I would have thought the second one would, unless I heard it wrong there.
Yeah, so Mike, in the budget package, you got a sheet that says 2021 budget supplemental item for outdoor pickleball courts. We included in that cost the 6 pickleball courts, which was $300,000, a gravel parking lot, which was $50,000, and then trail and landscaping connectivity for $50,000. So that came to $400,000. So the extra $150,000 was for the washroom facility in the Grand Cadillac idea. So just to do the pickleball courts in the bottom corner, I would say we'd need to budget $300,000 based on the costs we've got.
Okay, $150,000 for 2 unisex washrooms? That seems an awful lot.
Well, we do have to connect all the utilities, so sewer, septic, whichever. It's expensive.
But that's something that could be held off, could it not, until...
Absolutely. I wouldn't even suggest we do it unless we were getting grant monies to pay for that.
So my question, I just wanted to agree with what Brian was saying about the partnership and the amount of money. I think, from my own experience of trying to raise money, even if they raised $20,000, that would be impressive. I think that for us to expect, or even to put that 150 is way too much. I just think they're not going to be able to do that. Well, not anything's possible. They love the sport, but it is, it's a lot of work to raise that much money, and it's quite tough.
Laurie?
I think there was some comment on our amazing community groups we have out there, and with the ballpark, with the facilities that went on there and the donations that came in. So they have an opportunity as well to go towards them, to go to those same community members, Rotaries, etc. And you'd be amazed.
I guess what I was thinking of is whether they would be better, as they were on the other side, to put the supplementary things in as opposed to putting in the main construction. That's all, just so that they could get it up and running and do their thing. And then the trails and anything else they wanted to add would be where the other community groups would come in. Because I'm not sure how fast they can raise 150,000. That's the problem. Hopefully the discussion is for not we'll get the money in the way it goes, but it doesn't.
You have Mr. Wakeham.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a clarification here, Kim. I believe there was a comment made that the sports fields were paid off in 2023. I believe on the five-year capital plan, they're paid off at the end of 2023, so the savings wouldn't commence until 2024.
Sorry, yes, you actually are right. 2023 is the last year.
Okay. Your pleasure, please. Do we want to stick with what we have here, or do we want to increase it to 300,000 and in case we don't get the grants?
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead, Blaise. I'll ask after you.
Okay. I don't know how to word it, but if we can we do the 300,000 and if we get the grant, we do the Cadillac? Does that need a change from what we have, or?
Yep.
Yeah, so I would propose that the motion maybe reads that the supplemental request for function 411, Kerry Park Recreation Center for outdoor pickleball complex, be amended to $300,000 funded 100% through short-term borrowing.
Okay. Blaise, is that your?
That sounds like what I meant.
Yep. Laurie, are you seconding it? Yes, Laurie seconded it. Any other comments?
So what does that put us at for our
300.
budget?
So for 2021, that would mean a 1.01% increase. We would increase the short-term debt payments to $30,958 for 2021.
And then it goes up to 2%.
Yes, it would go up to a 2%, so meaning an additional 1% increase for 2022. Because we'd be paying a full year of debt. And again, this is only if we don't get the grant.
Stop like that because I see it over there and I think I have to go there to ask that person. It's me. Blaise.
So assuming we don't get the grant, are we still open to the fundraising then? If they, provided it doesn't make it not fully public, it's no restrictions, but then we still want to encourage fundraising. Yes?
We would, or the supplementary things we may want to see in there or that they want to see in there.
Okay, that's for supplementary, okay.
Yeah, can I just have one comment, Brian?
Yep.
I think with us going forward and putting it in the budget, once we hear back from the grant, we can certainly come back, report to the commission, let you know where we're at, and then the commission can decide how to move forward. And if the commission decides that they just want to plan and get some design work done for 2021 and we don't move forward, that can be a commission decision. If they want to change and come up with some more fundraising and we bump the project to 2022, again, that can be a commission decision. But this allows you the ability to build the pickleball courts in 2021, as you were hoping in September at our last meeting. But you're certainly welcome to change that as we move forward.
Okay. Further discussion? Hearing none. Those in favor? Contrary? Please. Okay, we have a second supplementary item.
Yes. So the second supplementary item is in regards to our fire panel system and energy efficiencies plan. And Tony can probably comment a little bit more on this, but our fire system is original to the building, and it was one of those items that was identified as one of the projects needing to be done when we went to referendum back in 2009. And so it is a big ticket item. Back in 2009, when we got pricing, it was around $850,000, which is a huge expense. And so what staff would like to do is budget some money so that we can get a shelf-ready plan. So as grants become available, because we do foresee additional grants coming up, that we can apply for this item to help pay for the cost. So we're recommending that we just use reserve funds in order to cover the cost of that plan and have it ready for the next round of grants. And Tony,
Okay.
do you want to comment? Sorry, just on what the project actually is?
Just a sec, I want to make sure I got number 3 correct. And I think I still need a motion that the supplementary request for function 411 Kerry Park Recreation Outdoor Pickleball Complex be approved as amended. I think we still need that in there, do we not? Or was that motion sufficient?
I believe the motion that I read was sufficient, and I believe everybody just passed that.
Right. Tony? Was Tony good?
Yeah, so the fire panel, like Kim said, is original to the building, and part of the project is also upgrading our main electrical distribution system in the building, also original to the building. So design the project so we have it shelf ready, so when grants are ready, we have a project that can go out the door and hopefully get approved for a grant.
Okay, would somebody like to move item number 4 then, that the supplemental, unless there are questions, sorry, are there questions for?
So moved. I'm moving your
Moved. Okay,
motion.
seconded by, is Corey there somewhere? I can't see him on my screen. No. Okay, Blaze, are you seconding? Yes, second by Blaze. Okay, those in favor? Contrary? Carried. Okay. All right, so that concludes the budget part. Verbal report from Kim.
Yeah, I just wanted to let you know that the fall actually has been going very successfully. Our rentals are back up. Obviously, we do have larger gaps in between each booking to allow for cleaning in between each user. We've accommodated 40 minutes, but overall, the rental groups have been doing really well. I have to give, again, props to minor hockey. They have been absolutely amazing and managing everything and making sure that everything is safe while they're using the facility. As you know, on Thursday last week, there was new provincial health regulations that came down requiring masks, mandatory mask use. So certainly managers and staff have been working with John as a team to try and decipher what some of those orders mean. Obviously, it's not recommended to be wearing masks when you're doing high intensity sports. And so we have updated our facility plans to require masks for all non-active program participation. So if somebody's doing quilting, art classes, things like that, they are required to wear a mask if they're over the age of 2. Anything that is physical and active in nature, they need to wear their masks until they enter the field of play. So for example, the ice arena is considered the field of play, so they will wear their masks down to the player benches and take them off once they're playing and then put them back on when they get off. So that's been working really well. We were running fitness classes still as of Thursday because the health order mentioned hot yoga and high intensity condition training type programs, and we didn't have that high level of activity. Today, another order came down and they actually expanded that indoor fitness activities to include strength training and condition training, all forms of yoga, all forms of martial arts, gymnastics. So we have had to cancel a bunch of other programs over the next 2 weeks, which again will impact a little bit, but no surprises. I know the community is not surprised. Some people were even pulling out with just feeling uncomfortable coming in. So staff are, responding as quickly as we can and staying with the provincial health orders. And overall, things are going fairly well and smoothly here. So yeah, that's, I think, about the only update that I have right now.
Okay. Any questions? Okay. Tony, do you have anything to report?
Just that our parking lot project is nearing completion, and if you haven't had cause to come drive through and have a peek, I would ask you to pop through. Pretty successful project, some bumps in the road for sure, but all in all, I think as a team, we're really happy with the product, and we've gotten lots of good feedback from users. just working on some minor deficiencies, and I was actually out in the rain today, and those new rain gardens are doing exactly what they're supposed to do, letting the majority of water down into the ground, and any overflow is then going out into the regular storm system, the ditches. So quite happy with it. Thank you.
Okay. And steps are being redone, did I see?
Sorry, what was that, Brian?
The steps, the curling rink. There seemed to be some construction going on there. Did something happen there?
The witch in the curling rink?
Steps.
Sorry, I can comment if you want. You're not hearing. So the stairs, yes, the stairs, when they checked those, the treads were not meeting code in terms of the size of the treads. So they did have to redo those at no cost to us.
Right. Okay. Good. Any question of either Tony or
Mr. Chair, I have a question. It's Lori here.
Lori?
Actually, not so much a question as a comment, because I've been wanting that parking lot for a really long time. So the staff have heard me whining. I mean, we all, the fairness, like Cowichan, then Cowichan Community Center. And what a difference entirely it makes, not only environmentally, which was my biggest concern. It is just put a facelift on, even with the facelift that was on Kerry Park. The parking lot has just added tremendously. So thank you very much, staff, and well done.
Mm-hmm. It looks good. Looks really good. Lots of compliments.
No, it's made quite a difference. It's good. Okay.
And users too. I've heard that it's laid out really well.
And the lighting has really made quite a difference too. And the steps from the 2 tiers, I think, have really added to it.
Mr. Chair, you can change your view if you want. At the top right-hand corner, it says grid view. You see a little icon? It looks like 4 little squares.
I'm not quite that brave. I think I might lose you if I go messing around. So,
Okay.
okay, thanks. Okay, so unfinished business. Don't think there is any.
Nope.
No new business.
Nope.
Have a question period.
Nope.
We don't have a closed session.
Nope.
So motion to adjourn would be in order. Blaze and Sierra. Okay, those in favor? Okay. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, great job.
Thank you, Mr.
Yes.
Chair.
We survived.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night. Good night. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Have a good night, everyone.